Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Henrik Urdal and I'm the Director of the Peace Research Institute Oslo, PRIO. Please allow me to extend a very warm welcome on behalf of PRIO to this afternoon's seminar discussing the chance for peace in Yemen. This is, as I mentioned, a hybrid event with some participants present here at the PRIO headquarters and others joining us live via Microsoft Teams, and thank you all for coming. PRIO is first and foremost an academic institution conducting research on the conditions for peaceful relations between states, groups, and people. Founded in 1959, we were quite possibly the very first peace research institute in the world and are to this day a global leader in peace and conflict studies. What distinguishes PRIO from many other academic institutions is summarized in the phrase engaged excellence. We want our research to be excellent, but also relevant and have an impact on the promotion of peace globally. Every year we organize a large number of events ranging from small brown bag seminars to policy workshops and large international conferences. And common to them all is the aim of bringing together policymakers, practitioners, and academics to engage in dialogue across the different spheres of competence and responsibilities. And this event today is certainly met by this ambition. The civil war in Yemen has ravaged the country since 2014, leading to large-scale human suffering. A war involving multiple internal armed parties supported by various external actors, it has escalated to become one of the deadliest conflicts and most severe humanitarian crises of our time. While the UN-led process has stalled, developments in 2021, including the appointment of a new UN Special Envoy for Yemen, Hans Grundberg, and also the commitment of the Biden administration to make Yemen a priority, could potentially provide hopes of a re-energized peace process. The tasks at hand for any peacemaker are massive, however, ranging from establishing a ceasefire, negotiating an inclusive peace agreement, an economic and infrastructural rebuilding of the country, establishment of transitional justice and reconciliation mechanisms, and ensuring that women's rights are respected and upheld in post-conflict Yemen. We are exceptionally pleased to be joined by a prominent speaker and key figure in this process, Minister of Foreign Affairs in Yemen, His Excellency Dr. Ahmed Awad BinMubarak. Dr. BinMubarak holds a PhD in Business Administration from the University of Baghdad and also received the Distinguished Graduate Shield from the Near East South Asia Center for Strategic Studies of the National Defense University in Washington, D.C. He's held positions as Assistant Professor at several universities in Yemen and headed the Business Administration Center for Graduate Studies at Sana'a University. Furthermore, Dr. BinMubarak has over the years been involved in high-level negotiations on Yemen, and he participated in most of the United Nations peace talks already in an early phase of the conflict as an advisor to the negotiating team for the Republic of Yemen. And he served for a period as ambassador for the Republic of Yemen to the US and was appointed Minister of Foreign Affairs and Expatriates in December 2020. We are very happy that you could join us for this discussion, Minister. Before Dr. BinMubarak takes the floor, I shall inform you about some basic housekeeping. Following the Minister's speech, there will be an open Q&A session chaired by Senior Researcher at the PRIO Middle East Center, Pinar Tank. Those who are present in the room may use this microphone next to me, and please stand exactly where the cross is and speak into the microphone. While those participating remotely may use the chat function in the Microsoft Teams to ask questions, which will then be read out to the Minister here in the room. And finally, just reminding you that this is an open meeting, which is both then being live streamed and will be made publicly available after the meeting, which also includes the QA session. With that, I'm very, very pleased to introduce the floor to Yemen's Minister of Foreign Affairs, Dr. Ahmed Awad bin Mubarak. The floor is yours. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much. I'm very honored and glad to be here in this institute. As I earlier mentioned to you and your colleagues that I missed being again part of this kind of research, conversation, and lectures. You know, as I spent 17 years of my life in my career at the Sana'a University. So before coming here, I was thinking, you know, how I can start this lecture or this intervention. And I start questioning myself where we made mistakes during this, you know, journey. I mean, we all read, you know, calling for peace. I mean, I was part of the revolution in 2011. Part of those dreamers dream to have new era in our history, start resolving our problem by using peaceful means and bring everyone and have inclusive process. And we were dreamed to have, you know, fair power sharing of power and wealth between all the Yemenis, equalities, women empowerment, voicing the demands of young people at that time where we reached deadlock. And you know, after the revolution, we started the transitional period where Yemenis, most of the Yemeni parties, including at that time the former regime, Al Abdullah Saleh party, the GBC, supported by the region and the international community, we started drafting the, you know, transitional process, which was very well designed, and everyone jumped to help on you know, helping Yemen to draw and to draft this process, where we start one of the most successful events at that time. I mean, the Yemeni National Dialogue, and everyone was, you know, talking very positively about this event. I was honored to be the Secretary General of the National Dialogue and also the rapporteur of the preparatory committee, you know, for the entire process. And at that time, we were you know, we were thinking that we are on the right track. We almost discussed the most vital issues in our recent, you know, all the grievances, all regions in Yemen, including the Houthis. At that time, we discussed the Sa'da issue and also the South issue, the transitional justice, you know, process in Yemen, freedom and rights, balance between the authorities, investment and economy. 9 very vital, comprehensive topics, and we spent, you know, almost 2 years in this process. I mean, the preparation, then the dialogue, then drafting the constitutions. But we missed. We made historical mistakes in this process, and I'm quite concerned if we are repeating the same thing now. While, you know, now we had up to now more than 6 years of war, but 7 rounds of talks in Geneva II, in BL, in Kuwait. We spent 110 days in Stockholm. I don't know what will be the next destination, I mean, to discuss that. And I think without identifying the cause of the problem, I think we will not be able to adopt the new approach to resolve the problem. We, in our history, recent history, we had a lot of conflicts. I mean, name it civil war, regional conflict, but I mean, since 50s, 60s, every 4 years we have something, you know, And we signed tens of agreements, reconciliation, agreement and peace agreement, even with the Houthis, tens of, even before they took control of the capital. Since 2011, I was part of all of them. If I recall some of the things that we have to remember always. First, that everyone pay attention to this peace process, to the future power sharing, wealth and power sharing. I don't know what wealth we are talking about, but always we talk about wealth. Well, how is the situation now in Yemen? But we lost in this journey, in this process, the reality and the service provided to the people, the security issues, the well-being of women, the villages, the real life. So everyone was, in the, those who have nice ties and sitting on table, but nothing about what's going on the day-to-day work. Even the international community. They funded all the proposals, all the projects. They provide us with experts, everything regarding this, this process. But we left alone. I mean, people in the daily basis, they didn't. After a revolution, after we raised expectation, they didn't feel that there is any change in their life. The vulnerable people. And every day this gap increased. So you have this line, and then you have the the peace, the future, the constitutions, which always. This is one of the things that I think this is one of the mistakes. For that reason, in 2014, when Houthis, with the former regime, decided to take control, it was easy for them like this, because with the weak institution, with the the poverty, all the things that we as Yemenis faced a long time ago, it was easy for them to do that with some promises about the future. Secondly, we come to this process with assumption. As we are talking about, Norway or Switzerland, as that if president leave the office, that he will leave the power structure. So we assume that after the GCC initiatives which have been signed, and it was a deal, ensure Saleh to leave the office, giving immunity. That when he left, then that means he left. He lost all the power that he had. But in a tribal system like Yemen, in a system that was kind of Binky dream. So he left the office, but he kept all the resources, all the power with him, and it was easy for him later on to sabotage the whole process. Also, we dealt with ideological group like Houthis, as they are political movement. So we went to Saada, we invited them, to the dialogue. Even we overrepresented them in the dialogue. We offered them, being part of the future of Yemen. And they submitted during the national dialogue one of the most progressive political vision, but we didn't pay any attention to their ideology, which we discovered in 2014 later on, when we start. Even they sent most of their representatives, whom most of them either disappeared or killed, and we don't know who. We know as Yemenis who did that, but they sent very liberal, sometimes leftist people, activists. So they presented, the movement, very progressively. So we didn't pay any attention to the ideology of the movement. which we, after the the war, we start as Yemenis, knowing every single item of this ideology on daily basis. I mean, the hate of speech, the violence, believing that they are the chosen group, that they have divine right to rule Yemen, just because they are from Prophet Muhammad families. All these things later on. And we, always, I have been asked, what's the initiatives for Houthis to come to the table? And it's really, for me, it's difficult questions. Because the problem that, always, when you think about any initiatives or you think about any face-saving, because this is how it is. When bring everyone get thing, you just move on. Problem that they never do this kind of logical calculation or math, because they believe always it's an exam by God, it's by Allah. So it's not based on this kind of. When they failed, it's an exam that they have to continue, keep digging until and when they success, it's surprised by God. And always we have this problem, because whenever I participated personally in most of the political rounds of talks, except Stockholm. And we reach the last stage where we are that close to reach the agreement, and in the last moment they just walk out. They never finish the deal. And always I ask myself, if I put myself in their side, in their shoes, I will I will take another option. Why they are doing this? Now, since the new administration came, and they start talking about we have to end the war in Yemen, and we have to start comprehensive peace process in Yemen, and brought a new energy, and we felt that we are a new momentum. We welcomed that day one, directly. When they appointed Mr. Tim Linder King, whom is very knowledgeable about Yemen. He worked in Yemen. We know him very well. We welcomed that, and we jumped to be part of this process. And we thought, well, and we said, you are aiming to end the war tomorrow. We started that yesterday. So we are always keen. We want to end the war, and this is a commitment by the government, and we prove that in all political talks. So we thought, well, let's be part of this, and we were very optimistic, very optimistic. And when our Saudi brothers and the UN, they presented the 4 elements proposal, we welcomed immediately the initiatives, the 4 proposal, and we believe that immediate comprehensive ceasefire is the first humanitarian step. If we agreed on that, then easily we can resolve all the other files. But this didn't happen for many reasons, and we why this conflict, prolonged. I mean, always, whenever we think many things. Well, first, the ideology, the hardliner within the movement, those who believe that they have divine right, and they stated that. And if you get the chance to read or review the handnotes of Hussein Badruddin Houthi, the founder of the movement, if you get the chance to also review the intellectual document of the movement, which have been endorsed in 2014, you will see that. In a diverse country, you are talking just about one act, establishing a sectarian state, which will not be accepted, or imposing or implementing the Iranian model in Yemen. That will not be accepted in a country like Yemen at all. So this is one of the things. Secondly, we discovered that the war became aim. It's not just a tool. And give you an example. Now, since the beginning of this year, they launched a very aggressive aggression against Marib, in the east of Yemen. Marib, it used to be a very small city, hosting 350,000 Yemeni citizens. Now 4 million. So from 350 to 4 million. The 3 million, the majority of them, they came from the areas controlled by the Houthis. And this is not our map. This is the UNHCR. And all of those, refugees, IDPs, they came from the areas controlled by the militias. If you see where they came from, I mean the governorates. Sorry, yeah, this one. Sorry, you will see, what is Marib? Yeah, this is Marib. This is Marib, and this is, the areas controlled by the militias. Most of the people fled from this area to Marib. So Marib became like a safe haven for 3 million almost. 1 million of them, and just in IDPs camps and refugees camps with very little resources, with very limited international organization. I mean, helping those people. With just in the last 6 months, Houthis launched more than 55 ballistic missiles to the city, targeting gas station, women, detonation center. And always we ask, why that is happening? While everyone now is talking about peace, there is a proposal, very practical proposal. But Houthis, they never listen to that, because they have been advised, they believe that they will not go to a negotiation table before controlling Marib, because it's a strategical location, because it's an oil governorate, a lot of resources, and there is a linkage between Marib and Safar. Why they're not? And maybe we can talk later on about Safar tanker. Because it's their access to export oil. So the war itself, it became aim, and it became income generation source. The international reports, not our reports, not our propaganda, stated that Houthis in 1 year collected more than $3.8 billion, which is more than we as Yemeni government, get, revenues from all the resources we have. Just 1.8 billion from the oil sector, from the trafficking, because they got usually they are getting usually free fuel from Iran, and they fabricated papers, make it as a real transaction, then they sell it in the black market. Double, treble prices, and they gain money. So it's the war for themselves. It's golden egg. Many of the warlords, they are gaining money, a lot of money for. Another reason, I think, Houthis actually, their plan is to change the mentality of the society, of the Yemeni society. If you just check what they did during the last 6 years, in changing the curriculum, I mean, in the basic education, secondary schools, even at the universities, if you look to the changes that they made, you will see what they are planning for. We have last year we have 60,000 kids recruited by the militia. This is the number that they announced. And what they called the summer courses, and they planted their minds with a lot of materials full of hate speech against the others, including the other Yemenis, the Muslims, including the other religions, the Jewish and the Baha'is and all those, even in some sectors, even the public servant, they have to start their day every day chanting in a Nazi's way, death to America, death to Israel, curse to Jew, victory to Islam. Even when they teach them math, calculation, it's not about apple and orange. It's always about killing. It's about politics. It's about American and Jewish. And this is something we have to be aware about it, because this is, even if we end the war tomorrow, this is something will stay for us generation to come. So there are many issues that prolong this war. So do we have just to complain about what we have, or do we have to move on? First, I think we always and we still offer the Houthis to be part of the future of Yemen, despite of all what they did. The proposal, the practical proposal, and that we said, let's and this is discussed in details in Kuwait. We ensure their participation in the government, ensuring their security. So we discussed the political, military, security, economical issues in details, and always in equality basis, which include Houthis in the process as a Yemeni party, similar to the others. So still, this proposal is on the table. The very practical move is the current UN proposal supported by the Arab coalition, by the Yemeni government. Comprehensive ceasefire, reopening Sana'a airport, where we initiated several times. We proposed in Stockholm and BL several times certain modalities to reopen the port, and always Houthis make obstacles. Lift the regulation on Hodeidah port, especially about the fuel, and I can talk about that in details. I can elaborate more if you have any questions about that. And then resume the talks and sit on the table and, based on what have been already discussed, and, go to real discussion about the future of Yemen, going to, referendum, to the referendum about the new constitution, and, completing the transitional period. Up to now, since Martin Griffiths left, we didn't hear anything about that. Everything freeze, waiting for the new envoy, whom we know he is very knowledgeable about Yemen. We will support all his efforts. We believe that there is no military solution for Yemeni conflict. But again, I think we are afraid, and this is I received messages from him that we will not start from the scratch, because also one of the problems that we have, we had up to now 3 special envoys: Jamal bin Omar, Ismail al-Sheikh, then Martin Griffiths, and now the 4th one is and every one of them he started a new approach with a new team. And we consumed years. And this is, for you, I mean, the victims are numbers. For us, names. We know each of them. So this is something we are, part of it in daily basis. So we talked, and I'm sure that this will be the approach that we have to continue what have been achieved already. So we don't have to start from the scratch. We have to understand the Houthis' mentality and not let them blackmail, anyone and start, putting condition, because they already said. I mean, their first response to, they said he's another American agent, so he's not representing the, and we will not deal with him until he did 1, 2, 3. They start, putting condition. But I'm quite sure that the new envoy, I mean, with his knowledge about the Yemeni problem, he visited Yemen several times. He met with all the parties. I'm sure that together, I think, in a partnership, we can change. First, pave the route for a real process. And being more result-oriented than just process-oriented, in this path. I will stop here, and I will be more than happy to respond to any questions from the audience. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency, for a very good analysis, and one that also is very soul-searching, because you were looking back at some of the mistakes that you think were made, and also looking forward what your expectations are for the international community. So I'm going to open the floor up to questions, and when you do state your question, please say your name and where you're from. And at some point also I will get some help from Teota in getting the questions that are coming in on the online platform as well. If I can take the chance, since I'm opening the seminar, to ask my first question.
Please.
Take the opportunity to ask it myself. One of the things that really also strikes me when you were speaking was how you mentioned that the people didn't feel the effects of any kind of a peace, that the institution of the state was very weak. One of the things that I find very interesting when we, as a political scientist from Norway, is that we often don't understand how local actors, what kind of an impact they can have. And in particular, I'm thinking of the tribes that you mentioned. Could you say a few words about, is there a role for the tribes in any kind of a future peace process?
Well, first of all, most of the community leaders, including the tribal sheikhs, they engaged during the national dialogue. So they came either through the civil society window, or representing parties. So during the national dialogue process, most of the most prominent sheikhs in Yemen, representing the tribe, they were part of this process. Now most of the tribal, tribes and tribal leaders, sheikh, they are part of the war, because they are the leader of the resistance movement in all the areas. Maybe I think in the round of talks that we have, I think most of the participants representing the parties more than the tribal system. So I think one of the issues that we have to pay attention to it in the coming political rounds, that I think those voices need to be heard. So to include these voices, but in this time, most, especially in the areas controlled by the Yemeni government, most of those tribes, they say the government representing our views. And we have local dialogues always, through different channels, getting inputs from those, tribal leaders.
Okay, all right. Thank you very much. Is there, I can now open the floor. I'll start with Julia.
Can I go there?
Yeah.
Yes, please. Could you go there to ask your question?
Thank you very much for coming to PRIO. This is an honor for us to have you here. I'm also working at PRIO as a senior researcher, and this topic is quite close to my heart. I did my PhD in Yemen, and my question would come from connected to the National Dialogue Conference that you were quite heavily involved in, because one substantial outcome of that conference was the 6-region proposal. And I'm wondering about talks regarding the future format of the state in Yemen, since the 6-region proposal was rejected by the Houthis, and this is often cited as one particularly important reason for the ensuing war. And since now you refer to the fact that the government has been putting on the table this inclusive proposal, so the Houthis would be part of the government. But if you can talk about visions of the future form of the state of Yemen, as well as the future form of government in Yemen, that would be very much appreciated.
Well, thank you very much. During the national dialogue and even before, there were so many events discuss the future of Yemen, and at that time the main issues were the South issues. You have the Iraq. At that time they were calling for separation, and restore the old state. During the national dialogue, most of the parties, including, we received 16 proposals about the structure of the state. 16. 14 of them proposed federal state, including Houthis and GBC. Two parties just at that time, Al-Rashad, which is Salafis. So their proposal was is to have just simple state. Even have a centralized state. And at that time, Hirak, whom represented those who call it for separation, they want to have their own state. But all the parties, including Houthis, their proposal submitted officially to the dialogue is to have a federal state. Whom later on they said, no, this is dividing Yemen. This is an American plan to divide the country. So during all the discussion, and I was part of it, I went to Saada, I went to Lubnan, they never said they object the federal state. And there were several views on this. So between two regions, 2-6. So Houthis were in favor of having a multiple federal system, not just two state. Socialist Party, two region state. So first, their official position since the beginning that they were with. So they used this as an excuse. And let you know, and I'm telling here secrets. I went to Saada after the national dialogue, and after the Houthis voicing that they are against the federalism. I went to Saada after we announced the 6th region. I went to Saada, I met with Abdul al-Houthi, and we were open to receive any recommendation. And we said, well, this is a proposal. At the end, and the day that I have been kidnapped by the Houthis, I was in my way to submit the first draft of constitutions to the General Assembly to start receiving inputs from the Yemeni people. A 6-month process where we will start have open debate with the Yemenis. We will receive their opinion, then we will revise the first draft, second draft, until we reach common and endorsement from all the parties. Then we will go to the referendum. So nothing was intended to be imposed in Houthis. So they use it. And Saleh just to as excuses. So yet, after all what happened, if you ask me how you see the future, I cannot see Yemen without decentralization system, federal system, real federal system. Our proposal is six region, but as we said before, and we will say it tomorrow, it's a proposal that we and the other Yemenis we have to sit and we have to discuss this proposal. But I know Houthis, they use this as an excuse just to attack the government. I was in Saada, and I said that many times. I was in Saada with the special envoy, Jamal Gamar, and we talked with the Abdul al-Houthi, and he said, "I'm with Saleh. We are against the federalism. This is something will be imposed by the Saudis and the American and Jamal asked him, do you think that the Yemenis will accept anymore to have centralized government ruling the entire country just from Sana'a? Do you think that Marib or Ta'az or Tehama, Hudaydah will accept that? He said, North is mine. We rule it and we will. Then Jamal asked him, what's about the South? Do you think that the Hirak and they will accept? He will say at that time, and that was in 19 September 2014. So just 2 days before they enter Sana'a, he said, I will fight until the last man I have. So this is the mentality of how they, dealt with these issues. But again, I think I cannot, first Yemen, the region, the international world. I think they cannot offer, it's not for them to have, because if we open up, separation, it will not be two, just south and the north. It will be many Yemens. So, and I think this is will threatening the security and stability of the region and of Yemen. And I think so. The only way to live together as Yemen and unified is the federal system. Again, this is a proposal. Yeah, I hope I respond to you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. One other thing I'd like to add to your response, which is interesting, is the whole idea of federalism. Of course, if it should happen in Yemen, it also has an impact in other areas, like in Syria, where this is also a big issue, what will happen in the future. Your Excellency, would you like to collect a few questions and then maybe take two at a time?
Yeah.
So if I could have two more questions. Cecilia, would you like?
Thank you very much, Your Excellency, for a very honest presentation. I have two quite difficult questions for you. Now,
Please.
I would want to pick up on what you said about the federal issue back in 2014. Now, you have had 6 years of war, and there are many things that happened during that war. How do you see the positions of the various actors, also following the Riyadh Agreement in 2020, when it comes to going from a process-based to a result-based discussion, as you mentioned? My second question concerns the regional picture, because this week there has been a conference in Baghdad bringing together the major countries of the region, also the major participants, external participants and supporters of the war. Now, there is a kind of urgency in the region, and how do you see this affecting your process in Yemen in the time to come?
Could you also say your
Yes,
affiliation?
my name is Cecilia Hellestreit. I'm a researcher of conflict and international law.
Thank you. Could I take one more question, perhaps? Björn Olav?
Thank you so much for a very interesting introduction. My name is Björn Olav Utvik. I'm from the University of Oslo. One question which, well, I guess there are limits to what you will want to say or not, but I will ask about the role of Saudi Arabia. Because in general, I think it's fair to say that Saudi Arabia was not a big fan of the Arab Spring and of these movements for democracy. Yet in Yemen, we see the Saudis seemingly supporting your government, which is the government which represents, like you said, the national dialogue and this process that was set in motion towards democracy. So, I mean, like an open question, how do you see the Saudi strategy? What are the Saudi aims? Thank you.
Thank you. Your Excellency,
Yeah.
would you like to?
Well, actually, after 6 war, I mean, the current situation is more, unofficially now there is a federal system in Yemen. Our 6th region, we have Hadramaut region, including Shabwa and Socotra and Al-Mahra. Then you have Saba region, which is Marib and Al-Jawf. And you have Aden, which is Aden and Lahj and Al-Dala. You have, Tahama, which is Hudayda, and you have Azal, which is Sana'a and surrounding, and you have Ta'az, Al-Janad, Iqlim Al-Janad. So if you look to the current situation, without referendum, without any official endorsement, this is now the current situation. This is most of the local authorities. They are, they are enjoying, full authority. They are getting not less than 20% of the revenues from all the resources, in this region. So now it became not just proposal. Now it's rooted, and people start to practice it. And I think it will be difficult if when we start, discussing, people will not, give any, anymore any authority to the center, because they already experienced that during the war. And some of them, they set up a good example. Now people, when we talked about Yemen, we are just talking about the conflicting area, where there are so many places in Yemen, very secure, very stable, attracting a lot of investment. If you go to Mahra, for example, the situation in Mahra now is much better than before 2014, before the war, because they start, practicing the federal system. They start, getting more resources from their revenues, from their resources. They are empowered. Because they are stable, so they attract many people from the rest of the country. Marib, it used, as I said, just 350, now 4 million. Now they have universities, they have international airport, the same company, built the Texas airport. Now they are the one who are, designing this airport. So people, I think it will not be easy for any central government to impose any kind except, system except the federal system. So it's already, we have problem in the south, just in Aden and the surrounding area. Still, we have the SCC claims, but this doesn't represent all the south voices. So many others, they believe that in Hadramaut, for example, they want to enjoy their own federal system. So I think now the proposal of federal system, it became a reality. It's not just a proposal. It's already there. But for sure, it will not be official unless it's endorsed by the Yemeni people and being part of the constitution. I think this is how we are planning to do. Most of this is what we are facing always. I served in DC for 5 years, and there is many narratives seeing Yemen, the conflict in Yemen as it is just proxy war, just war between Saudi Arabia and Iran in Yemen, as it is between Yemen, the poor country, and Saudi Arabia, the rich country. As this conflict started in March 2015, when the Arab coalition started their airstrike, and this is something I think we need to correct. First, we had the Yemeni government. We had 6 wars with the Houthis. Before this, Houthis. They stated that in public statements that they killed 60,000, from the Yemeni army during the 6 wars. That's what they said. Then they participated in the national dialogue, and they were doing 3 things at the same time. They were, negotiating and participating in the national dialogue. They were at the same time attacking the city after city, from Sa'ada to Amran, and from Amran. At the same time, they were at the national dialogue, and they were protesting every day in Sana'a against the government, against the GCC initiative. It's like Shambo 3-in-1 at the same time, and we accepted that because people say, what kind of initiatives that you can give the Houthis? That was our initiative. We want to bring them to the politics, so we accepted that. We want just them to enjoy being part of the. So and they captured. They envisioned they controlled the capital in March in September 2014. The Arab coalition military campaign started in March, 7 months later. So first, we have to correct this. This is an internal issue. We think that Iran, invested a lot in this issue and on Houthis long time ago. People say that Iran start to have this kind of engagement after the war because Saudi is supporting the Yemeni government, so they jump in In 2012, there is international report by the UN, Jihan 1, Jihan 2, big ships full with weapons, from Iran to Yemen, captured by the American Navy in 2012. No war, nothing. At that time, everyone was talking about national dialogue and being part. At the same time that with Iran, 2012, they start, equipped the Houthis with this kind of heavy weapons and to them. And you can Google it and you will find the report. So it's for sure Iranian rule in Yemen is very negative. For sure, if Iranian decide to change their rule in Yemen, that will impact the situation. With the new administration, under all the calls from the Attention Committee, for ending the war and stop the peace process, Houthis start to re-engage with the special envoy, and with even with the American. They met even with the American envoy in Muscat. One day after the visit of Iranian Foreign Minister Zarif to Muscat, he met with the Houthis. Second day, they blocked this channel, and after that they refused to meet with anyone, because we think that the Iranian use Yemen file as a bargaining card in their negotiation about the other files in the region and also the nuclear weapons, and we refuse that. So any normalization in our region, I think we welcome that. We don't want any conflict, even with Iran. We have problem with Iran as a regime, but not with the country, not with the people, not with the civilization. So we welcome if there is a change. We believe that part of their constitution is export the revolution and have imposed their system and regime in the region. It's in their constitution. But if they will change that, we will be more than happy. It's not the first time that Saudis and the region meet. It happened several times before, and whenever we heard, we raised the expectation and hope, but then nothing changed. Especially now with the new regime, new government, Raisi. We know now we have ministers. From the Revolutionary Guard, so Iranian Revolutionary Guard. The current Minister of Transportation, he was in charge of weapon traffic to Yemen. He made public statement how proud he is that Iranian and his regime and the Revolutionary Guard participating on the ground, supporting the Houthis. So totally new dynamics. I don't know yet how it will impact the situation, but for sure, the normalization of the political scene in our region. I think it's very useful tool. It will benefit all the region, and I think if you can eliminate this fueling the war in Yemen, I think by any regional actor, for sure, we will welcome that. Again, I mean indirectly, maybe I responded to your questions, but again, we after 7 months of occupying the capital of Yemen, Sana'a, and Houthis, they marched from Sana'a to Aden, and they, by the way, they are the first one who airstriked official building in Yemen, because President Hadi, when he escaped from Sana'a to Aden, they airstruck his palace when he was there. So they are the one who launched, even not just the land military operation, but even using the airstrike official building and kill civilians. So that was in March 2015. So we asked for, because you have militia, they stalled and they get access to all the military inventory, all the Yemeni army inventory, all the resources, because at that time there were alliances between them and the former president. They got control of everything, and they start marching, controlling, even the islands. And you have this civilian resisting that and fighting without any support. And at that time, even our army, now we have what we call the national army. We rebuilt the national army, and this army is defending now Marib and making all this trying to push back the Houthis. So the only way was to call our assistance from our brothers, and for sure Saudi. We are sharing history. They are our neighbors, and I think even for their security, they will not let militias backed by Iran, having ballistic missiles as they do, and they are. Yesterday they attacked Abha airport, civilian objects, so killed people. I think they will not accept that. So they responded, but the one who are fighting on the ground are Yemenis. The one who are paying the price are Yemenis, for sure, with support of our Saudi brothers, but not just military support, but also, I mean, they are the largest humanitarian donors. I mean, to the UN response plan. I mean, in the development area, they are, helping the Yemeni government. So not just them, but also other countries. And I'm very grateful and appreciative also for the Norwegian role. I mean, Yemen is the second country, I mean, in your top priority plan, I mean, after Syria. So also one of the top countries supporting the humanitarian response plan. I have to repeat that and echo that another time, that we are really appreciating the support that we are getting from the Norwegian people and the Norwegian government.
Thank you. We're beginning to run out of time, but I'd like to take one question from the online audience, if maybe just a quick response.
We have a question.
Toita, who is working in the Middle East Center.
Yeah, we have a question here from Ibrahim Jalal at the Middle East Institute, who asks, what kind of role should Europe play when repetitive calls for peace are met with further Houthi assaults on Marib? What tools of
Sorry, again, can you repeat the questions?
What kind of role should Europe play when repetitive calls for peace are met with further Houthi assaults on Marib? What tools of pressure are at disposal? What limitations too?
Well, again, I think Marib is the target, is the apple for Houthis. We will always, call for peace and interact positively with all the UN proposals. The option that we have is to defending Marib. So if you ask me what's your priority, I will say Marib, and then having functioning government. I mean, in Aden, serving the people from Aden, and then dealing positively with all the UN initiatives, mainly the 4 points. Maximize the pressure on Houthis and the regional power, to get them to the peace process. For sure, Marib for us is red line. Marib for us is red, as any other city, but mainly now in this situation, Marib for us is the red line. So in the top of our priority is defending Marib, at the same time not compromise regarding this point with Houthis, and maximize the pressure, I mean, in all fronts. But I think the first step that I think will strengthening the position of the Yemeni government is fully functioning from Aden, and unifying all the forces, all the parties, those are against the Iranian agenda in Yemen.
Thank you very much. I realize that there's many people who would have liked to have asked a question today but didn't get a chance, but I feel like we've really covered the most important points. And I'd like you to join me in giving a round of applause to His Excellency for a wonderful presentation and opportunity for us to ask the important questions.
Thank you so much. Thank you.